Be sure to go back and watch that last creator's post. She talked about how she was disappointed in women and wanted more for women than for women to be in bad relationships. And I will say, women who think like this are more invested in their friends' welfare than their friends are invested in their own welfare. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling men and women for many years now who've experienced abuse, as well as those who have been perpetrators of abuse. And again, go back and watch that creator's video. She talks again about how, she's sort of been there and been a support system for her women friends, and her women friends have, talked about how they've been done wrong in their relationships with men, only to then turn around and marry that man. And what I will say is this happens all the time. You guys have probably seen this quite a bit on, TikTok or other social media platforms as well, where women will come on and emotionally dump about how bad their partner is and how their partner has done them wrong and yada, yada, yada. And they get everybody sort of caught up in their story, only to turn around and say, oh, he's wonderful, we're going to get married, or we're going to have a baby, and this and that and the other. And we get caught up in someone else's stuff because we want things for people, right? We want good things. Maybe they pulled in on our emotions by talking about an experience that we've resonated with and all of this kind of stuff. And we genuinely care about friends and the welfare of people, especially women, by and large. But what tends to happen is when we do that, we get more caught up in, what that woman is saying and not what she's doing. And what I mean by that is that woman will sort of spew out like how things are bad and how she's being harmed. And, we're giving that emotional labor by A, listening, by B, problem solving. And when people do emotional labor, they're also expecting you to do your emotional labor and do the work or follow through with the solutions, or just try to get out of a situation that's harmful for you, because that's logic, right? We think that that's logic. We think that that's common sense. But what happens is sometimes women will use you. Women will use you to emotionally dump. And I've made other posts about this before. This is why I don't allow this in my friendships anymore. I don't allow people to come to me and tell me their problems unless they've gone through a number of solutions that they themselves have tried and it has not worked out for a number of reasons. But people want to come and just sort of emotionally vent and put all their stuff off on you. And by them doing that, that's sort of like a stress reliever. And it allows them to go back in to that toxic relationship business as per usual. Men do this too when they're dating. And when men do this when they're dating, that's how you know that they aren't serious about you. They will come and complain to you, that woman that they're dating, or that man that they're dating, right? And go back to that person that they're dating. So this is a universal issue, but women are doing this. And what I encourage people to do when they feel like this, when they start to get angry with their friend, or they start to feel like I can't show up for you and I'm not going to celebrate for you, is dial it back on that relationship, or tell your friend, in which I've done this, tell your friend hey, if we're going to be together, I don't want to talk about problems anymore in your relationship. We can focus on doing fun stuff. We can focus. Let's go shopping. Let's go out to eat, or let's go do a craft together, or something like that, or just sort of experience the city. But I'm not available for talking about problems in your relationship. One, that puts the onus back on them. Two, it shows them that you're not just going to be a listening ear. Three, it requires them to do the work themselves. So when you put it back on people then need to do the labor themselves, right? And that labor may be looking like going to a professional such as myself or someone else and actually doing the work. But it prevents you from getting emotionally invested in a bunch of shit that they're just not going to walk away from. And I hate to say it like this, but this happens all the time. And this is a choice that you make to get emotionally invested in other people's stuff. And, and we've all been privy to it. So I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not making any judgment, but I'm saying that if you willingly continue to do this, you are signing up to go on this roller coaster ride. And what ends up happening for you is that people, if you continue doing this, what you find is that you're doing more work in this relationship than they are. You want more for them than they want for themselves. You're invested in an outcome, and it starts to feel disrespectful to you. When they've come to you, they sucked up all your energy and they sucked up all your time, and they haven't made a move on it. That's why this is, and this isn't a judgment, but this is why people end up walking away from women and men or people that are in abusive relationships. That's why when women who are abused or are saying that, all my friends are gone, it's because a lot of people have perceived it as you've continued to go back to the abuser. We have offered you resources, we've offered you a lifeline, we maybe have allowed you to come stay, we maybe have given money or some other sort of resource, only for you to betray us and turn around and walk back into the situation that you said was hurting you. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that this is how people perceive it. And people start to get angry, they start to get resentment, and they're like, well, if you like it, then if you continue to go back, then you must like it or you must love it. And so there's nothing I can do, and I've lost interest. I'm no longer invested in this relationship with you anymore. I don't care. I've got my own stuff to deal with. And that's kind of how people start to look at it. And what I would recommend is you have to do what works best for you energetically. So if you have to scale back on how much you invest, and this could even be women or people in your family, because there are a lot more women that are willing to stick it out in a bad relationship that care to admit to it. And I feel like a lot of that is what we see on social media, is women who are pandering to those who are trying to decenter men. But behind the scenes, these women are very much in abusive relationships. They're still in marriages and things where they're getting cheated on. They're still paying all of the bills and things like that. And I think for a lot of people, that's fine until it gets exposed, and then they don't like that when it gets exposed that they're sticking it out in a bad relationship. So you have to take care of yourself, scale it back. If you want to stay in the relationship, my recommendation is to stop allowing people to emotionally dump. Only show up for what you want to show up for. And my guess is it needs to be something where you're not doing labor, because when you start doing labor with your friends, it starts to feel like a job that you've clocked in for, but there's no benefits, you ain't getting paid for it, and then they kind of give you the middle finger by going against everything that you've offered when you were trying to be generous, supportive, and hold space for your friend. So I hope this helps. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, follow, and share.